besides Fuaga and Rattler, how is the Saints' 2024 draft class looking?
Well, it's a good question, Michael, but the rest of the question was I haven't heard much about the other guys. Yeah. And there's a reason for that. Kool-Aid McKinstry is recovering from foot surgery. Mm-hmm. He was not expected to participate. Maybe he's not signed either, but they can still get him on the field for some things. But maybe we'll see a glimpse of him in June minicamp. I don't think we'll see him till training camp. And Jalen Ford, the 5th-round linebacker from Texas, has also been dealing with a minor injury. I think he's a little closer. We might see him at June minicamp. Might also have to wait till July. I
saw him out there with a trainer, running around.
Yeah, I was told. I was told minicamp maybe, but I mean, it might be a stretch.
So that's why you haven't heard about those guys, which just leaves
sports hernia for Ford.
Mm-hmm. Just leaves 3 more guys. Bub Means, the receiver, 5th round. We have had a few takes on him. We'll talk about him in a sec. Christian Boyd, 6th round defensive tackle. He is out there mostly working with the 3rd string, and Josiah Ezram, the offensive tackle from Eastern Kentucky, 7th round, also out there mostly working with the 3rd string. They're both working with the 3rd string, and it's non-padded, non-contact practices. So it's hard to have a lot to say about the defensive tackle and the offensive tackle. So really, Bub Means is the only person we can really get into to answer this question, I think.
Yeah.
Bub, to me, is very clearly wide receiver 5. I think there's upside to be 4 at some point. I don't necessarily know. It's early, but I wouldn't bet on him passing up Cedric Wilson
or A.T. Perry.
Yeah, this early. So I think he's very clearly wide receiver 5 at this point. Mm-hmm. Moves well, gets down the field, has good hands. He's been 3rd team on a lot of targets. Like they rotate through. He's been getting targets on the 3rd team. 3rd team passing hasn't been incredibly accurate. So I mean, it's kind of hard to judge some of those throws. But I think he looks good, moves well, and we've seen him 3 times, and he's stood out to me at different points in each of the 3 practices. So he looks solid. Like for a 5th round pick, I think he looks pretty solid.
How physical? I mean, tough to say, obviously, but do you think he can bring physicality to that position? Or
I don't know yet. They aren't doing it. You aren't fighting through anything right now.
But one thing I can say about Bub, he's always, like, every time you look for Coach Keith Williams, he's right there in his pocket. Yeah. Just like either Coach Keith is in his ear telling him, like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, that, and that. Even if he, messes up, he'll be like, you can see, like, hey, man, we got to get better in his face and everything like that. So that relationship is really growing because, I mean, they both came in here at the same time. So he's really taking them under his wing and is building them up, along with the other receivers too. But that's just a connection that stands out because, like, everything Bub does, Coach Williams is right there with him. Our next question comes from Antonio. Antonio asks, after a couple of OTAs, is there any position that is screaming for veteran help?
Screaming? No. I mean, I think the one spot where I think it's still possible is, I think, safety. If that market drops enough, that's the spot where you just look at it. Just looking at the guys, it just feels
it's
like
the best available.
It feels like there's room for one more on the team for sure. I mean, I think that's the one spot that I would definitely start.
Yeah, room for one more on the team, and I think if you just are looking at free agents that haven't been signed around the NFL yet, that's also where you can get the best players, I think. Offensive line is interesting to me because we are seeing Anthony Herron, who they just signed, Shane Lemieux, who they just signed, and Lucas Patrick, who they just signed. 3 veterans with starting experience in past places, all getting second-team reps. And I think Lucas Patrick has even gotten a few first-team reps, and Patrick has played both guard and center for them now. So I think those are the veterans that they signed to fill that depth, and those guys are all getting a look. I think the only way they dip back into the offensive line market is if they don't like what they see from those guys. But they added 3 veterans within the last month, and those 3 guys all moved into the 2 deep, which I thought was really interesting. So safety would have been my answer as well.